Hey everybody, it's Dr. Christine Anderson, or Dr. Chris as my patients like to call me. And it's once again time for optimal health, optimal life. And this is episode number 3, where I am talking about optimal movement for fitness. Now, I did this on purpose where I use the term movement rather than exercise because the term exercise for me connotates the idea of I've got to wear special clothes and I've got to go to a gym and I have to like do these things separate from my life, rather looking at how can I incorporate moving my body more, maybe in some of the ways that as I'm moving throughout my day. So it doesn't just have to be this isolated incidence, although exercise can be part of it. How can you actually fit movement into your life? And our brains are designed for movement. There's two parts, they do different things. And the right side is more of a gross motion movement, so using our whole body. And our left side is designed more for fine motor control, so grabbing your pencil or eating your food, speaking, those are all using the small muscles of our body. But a lot of our brain is dedicated to movement, and there's a feedback between our brain and our body so that when you are moving, the brain gets stimulated. And when the brain is stimulated, it is going to function better, and therefore you're going to have optimal health. So there's a number of benefits, but before I get into that, you have to figure out your why. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to move your body so that you can have optimal health and an optimal life? Because otherwise, it's going to be really hard to stay motivated, just like anything in our lives. We have to figure out why it is that we want something. So I'm going to give you some benefits, and then maybe this can become part of your why. So maybe you want to, and this goes way beyond, by the way, losing weight, because that's going to come naturally if you're doing things that are healthy. So obviously, it does help with that. And it is because it's part of the system of increasing our cellular energy and making new mitochondria, which are the engines of our cells. Not only does it help with driving your metabolism, which will help you lose weight, but it also helps slow down premature aging. So, moving your body, like I said, stimulates the brain, which then keeps you functioning at a higher level. It gives you better skin because you have circulation. So maybe that might be a motivation for you. It enhances sleep quality. It helps to improve your mood and helps with your brain health, memory, etc. Again, that circulation that occurs. It also helps you recover and prevent chronic diseases. So that could be a multitude of things. And remember that 85% of chronic illnesses are due to what we do in our lives. So, again, if you are wanting to live a healthier life, a more fulfilled life, movement is something that you're going to want to do. And you're going to want to incorporate it on a regular basis, not just be a weekend warrior, because it is going to take energy to get where you are when you become fit, and you want to keep going because it only takes about 2 weeks to start losing that muscle mass, and all the benefits start to go downhill too. So it's not something that you just do once in a while or you do today. You want to do it on a regular basis. So it can be personalized. You're going to personalize it to your age and your fitness level and any physical issues you might have or health issues. And a good idea is to take a note of your initial fitness level and your workout limits. There's a couple of ways to do that. There's different things you can find on the internet that will assess your different systems. Or you can just look at things that you're doing in your daily activities of life. Are you having more energy? Is your waistline shrinking? Is your skin looking better? Are you sleeping better? So it's always good to take note, especially of those things that you want to change, so that you can have some idea of what is happening as you're going along, and that is going to keep you motivated to keep doing what you're doing. So, to be successful, having somebody be a buddy or a partner is a really good idea. So, whether that's to go to classes or go for a walk or just commiserate, but having to show up for someone, they depend on you, you're doing it together, you're in it together. It can be a spouse, it can be a friend, it can be a child, doesn't matter. Just having someone show up with you, and it makes it more fun. And this is the other thing too, is that if it's not enjoyable, you're not going to do it. If you dread it, forget it. So I'm not going to say do one particular exercise or routine, but I will be talking about more how you move your body, the different facets of movement, such as strength, cardiovascular health, endurance, flexibility, agility, balance, and coordination. You want to make sure you're doing things that are touching base on all of those types of movements because they all have benefits and one is not better than the other. But if you're only doing one type of exercise, let's say walking, which is great, it's good for so many things. Um, you are using generally your whole body. There's some strength involved, there's some cardiovascular, there's some endurance depending on the length that you're doing it, but it's not really working your flexibility when you're walking. So you want to make sure you stretch beforehand and even more after when your muscles are all warm. It's not really testing your agility unless maybe you're walking on an uneven surface, which is much better. Like a trail is far better if you're hiking on a trail or walking in the woods. Whoop, rather than just on the streets where it's all paved and there's no variation to the terrain. And then balance. So if you're out walking, maybe you walk along a wall or a pavement or a log or something like that that allows for using your balance and a little bit more coordination. Or maybe you do some hops or skipping. So again, that's using coordination. So it's sort of like being creative and thinking, what can I incorporate into my life that makes it easy and something that you're going to do? So that might be getting up 15 minutes earlier in the day and going for a walk or walking to work. Go figure. Um, Getting home and walking, it could mean maybe you say on the weekends, I'm not going to drive anywhere, I'm going to walk everywhere or bike everywhere, if that's a thing that you can do. Um, the biggest thing is sitting too long. So it's about in your workday, what can you do to incorporate some movement if what you're doing is sitting? So I am so lucky because I am constantly moving as a chiropractor. I sit very little. I'm usually adjusting people or running around after kids. And I don't have to worry so much about getting up and moving unless I'm maybe sitting writing a report or doing some research. So if you are at a job that you're sitting at a desk, now we can get the fancy sit to stand desktop things that you can put on your desk. So every 20 minutes, you want to shift your posture. So whether that's sitting to standing or vice versa, or maybe getting an exercise ball and sitting on that, and you can do a little movement with bouncing. Or you can take telephone calls and walk around your office or go for a walk and maybe make some calls so that you're not just sitting down in one place and doing the things constantly throughout your day. So think about it. You can be sitting down for at least 8 hours, and then you think, oh, I can just go to the gym for 1 hour and that makes things right. But it's not enough to equalize it. So you want to see what you can do and get yourself moving throughout the day. I do suggest when you take breaks that you're doing things that are working on one of these components. So strength, cardiovascular, endurance, flexibility, agility, and balance, coordination. So just stand on your foot maybe and make a phone call. Get into a stretch for 5 minutes. even doing some deep breathing. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about an exercise that actually increases your nitric oxide level, which has so many benefits. And that is going to be equivalent if you do 3 sets of this throughout the day, it's going to be equivalent to spending an hour in the gym for those benefits for your cardiovascular system. So that's huge. There's so many things that you can do, not being locked into just like going to the gym. Um, but first, the thing that you should do is check your sit or stand to sit or sit to stand test because you're going to go both ways. And this is where you sit on the floor, cross legged, you get up from the floor, not using your hands or a knee or any other thing. You just get up and then you sit back down again, not using another body part. So for my subscribers, during this week, I'm going to be posting some bonus videos on some of these exercises, including the stand to sit test. So if you want to see, this is actually a predictor of longevity, or even if you can't do it, it's sort of each thing you can't do, like how many hands you have to use, or if you need to use your knees, it kind of takes a point off. And it's actually a predictor of mortality, believe it or not. So, if you're having trouble with that, there are some exercises, and these would be exercises that you can do to help strengthen your muscles that are needed to be able to sit to stand without using any additional limbs. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do on your own. Taking the stairs rather than taking an escalator or an elevator. That's going to help do so many things. Um, Doing body weight strength training. So these again are things you can do at work if you're taking a couple of minutes break. Things like push-ups and lunges and squats or jump squats, tricep dips, planks, Superman. Again, I will be making some bonus videos, so look for those about how to do these things. But they're easy to fit into your workday if you have that motivation to do it. And then as you start to feel those benefits, it's going to make such a difference. And there's a couple of things that you might want to invest in, like an exercise or a Swiss ball, foam rollers, jump ropes, resistance bands are great, kettlebells are great. And really, everybody should be doing pull ups. So, you either need to have a pull up bar or a playground near you that you can do pull ups. Or if you are going to a gym, then doing some pull ups at the gym. And if you're having trouble doing them, you can get some assistance bands that you put on the bar to do those pull ups because most people have very weak upper bodies and especially the lats, which helps to maintain and have good posture. So it's going to take that kind of rounded shoulder aspect and bring it down. So you're going to want to do things that are going to move your body in all different planes of motion. So things like yoga are good because it gets you inverting, it gets you with your head down below your heart, you're twisting, you're bending. So yoga is really a great thing to do for those different planes of motion. Um, but there's another aspect too that most of us don't think about, and it's our vestibular or inner ear. And I figured this out when I started doing aerial arts, I don't even know, like 7 or so years ago. And because you're twisting, moving, and moving in so many different planes of motions, at first I was getting nauseous when I first started. I was like, oh my God. But now I can spin longer and faster, and this is challenging so many of those facets. Pretty much almost every one of them is hit, depending on the type of class I'm doing, if it's a conditioning class or if it's a choreography class where I'm staying up longer. And that's getting more of my endurance. And it almost becomes like interval training because I'm up there maybe for like 3 minutes and then get a break. So there is some cardiovascular aspect to it, but agility, coordination, I have to be present in the moment and learn sequences and remember those. So there's a lot going on with aerial arts, and that is what I have chosen to really do and focus on. Although I do walks a couple of times a week, I do some additional stretching and yoga. Um, but I do mostly body weight exercises versus using other weights. And believe you me, when you lift yourself up, many times you definitely feel lifting your body up. I don't need to add any weight to it, that's for sure. So, based on some research of people in the blue zones that have lived for a long time, a lot of the things they do are the things that we don't do anymore, like walking at least for an hour every day and walking fast, not just strolling, right? Taking, like I said, taking stairs or parking your car far away where you actually have to walk somewhere. Um, it was like 10 years ago, and I was taking some art classes at Santa Monica College, and I had to park maybe like 2 miles or so away. And so I would rollerblade up into campus. So you can do things like that and just sort of make it fun. And as far as the moderate exercise goes, you don't have to do a lot of it. About 2.5 hours a week is really all is necessary. And then after that, it really doesn't make a difference whether you add more exercise in. So, doing more exercise is not better. You want to be smart about what you're doing and have good quality, vigorous exercise and just get that other movement in your life. So don't be spending hours and hours and hours and hours at the gym. It's not going to add years to your life. You do want to do either the body weight training for strengthening or using weight training, something like that, kettlebells, resistant bands. You want to put tension on your muscles. That's going to help keep your bone density strong and give you more of that strength that you need to do daily activities, right? Um, so let me talk a little bit about um, you have different intensities of exercising. And right now, like the high intensity interval training is very popular, along with some things like CrossFit. And it does let you burn a lot of calories. It does help increase your muscle mass. I just find that people are doing maybe hit too much too often, and you only need to do it again about 2.5 hours a week. So make sure you're not doing too much of that high intensity repetitive movement because you can actually burn your body out and hurt your joints. So you don't want to do too much. You don't want to do too little. Most of us don't have to worry about doing too much, but there are some of those really committed workout people that think more is better. And there's a whole thing with looking at your maximum heart rate when we're talking about cardiovascular health. And there's different ways to look that up. You can compute it a couple of different ways. You can jog a certain distance, like 400 meters, which don't ask me what that is in miles. Just can't do it right now, but it's about 525 steps. So you have to convert that. You do that for a warm up. You run the same distance again as fast as you can, and then you repeat steps 1 and 2 a couple of more times, and you check your heart rate after 3 sets. And that's a good indicator of your maximum heart rate. So you know which zone to be in. If you want to do a high intensity or low intensity, you're going to be working at like 50 to 75% of your maximum heart rate. And if you want to get into more of the high intensity anaerobic aspect, then you're going to go to 85%. So that's more detail that I can get in at another time, but that's just one aspect of it. And then strength training, you want to use weights for force production. In other words, you're going to recruit more muscles to be able to have more strength. And that's as opposed to bodybuilding, where you're actually lifting a lot of weight that creates microscopic damage to your muscles. So you don't necessarily need to have bulk if you want strength. Okay, you can be have lean muscle, and that's going to help with so many things like, again, creating strong bones, enhancing your quality of life, because if you have stronger muscles, you can do more things. It's going to help you manage your weight because muscle burns energy more than fat does. And it's going to help sharpen your cognitive skills and boost your mood as well, just like all the other exercises, because of the good feeling chemicals that are released. So, body weight could be push ups, squats, planks, that type of thing. You can use hand weights or kettlebells, and the kettlebells have more of a swinging motion. So, it uses more of your body movement. So, I actually like those more than just weights. Medicine balls, resistance machines are not my favorite because that just targets a specific muscle group. And I really want you to be using your whole, like your whole shoulder, your whole arm, do things that are moving it in a full range of motion. Rope or rock wall climbing is great again for that agility and endurance and balance and coordination and using your large core muscles. Such a great way to move your body. But you can do dance classes, you can do strength classes, all these type of things. And then with the functional training, you can, like I said, when even if you're walking, you can add different ways to walk in, like Monty Python and the whole silly walk thing. It's kind of silly, but it's, kind of fun. And you can modify your walking so it can be even a high intensity interval training if you're walking super fast for 30 seconds and then cooling down. So, yoga, we talked about helping with so many things, mental health, that emotional, the mind body connection and spirit connection. So, it is so much more than exercising, it's movement that helps with everything else. And 15 minutes of stretching helps with flexibility and will help you with your day to day tasks. You don't have to make it like a super long stretching program. But I challenge you, when you get home from work tonight, instead of going and sitting on the couch, get on the floor. I usually just plop my yoga mat down. And if I want to watch something, I just spend the time stretching and doing some restorative yoga moves. So you don't have to miss out on your favorite shows. Just don't just sit there like a lump on the couch. Do movement along with it. It doesn't have to be crazy movement, right? It can be stretching, can be a little bit of core, depending on what type of day. Um, and so I'm just going to go a little bit into this nitric oxide dump, which is a high intensity exercise that can serve as a good warm up. So, this is really great to do before you engage in any other activity or movement. And it's going to release nitric oxide in your body because it's going to dilate the veins and arteries, which is also going to bring more circulation to your brain and your body for nutrition. It also helps protect your mitochondria. And on one of these classes, I'm going to talk about mitochondria because I love them and they are so important. And it's important to keep them functioning at a great level. Otherwise, you are not going to feel well. So it only takes a few minutes, 9 minutes total, really, about throughout the day. And you do it in 3 sets of 3 or 3 sets of 4. I usually do 4 sets at a time. And there are 4 movements to do with 10 repetitions and 4 sets. So, and you're supposed to leave about at least 2 hours between. So you can do it in the morning and night and somewhere in between. It doesn't take that much time. It doesn't take any equipment. So it's performing 10 squats in rapid sequence. You can also do jump squats. And the second exercise is alternating arm raises. So you just bring your arms up to 90 degrees and bring them down. And then there's non-jumping jacks. So you don't jump, you're not moving in your lower body, but you bring your arms up like a jumping jack. And then there is the last one is a shoulder press. So you hold your arms here and you push up like this. So you go, oh, that doesn't seem like much. Another one, I challenge you to do this and see how you feel after you do 10 of each exercise 4 times in a row. Your heart rate will get up. So, again, like I said, if you do this 3 times a day, it is supposed to be equivalent to 1 hour cardiovascular exercise in the gym, right? So you can take that for what it is. And again, I'm planning on doing a video of that. So subscribe so that you can get a notification when I get those videos. Now, is anybody out there? So I did, if there's anybody out there, say hi, because I need to see if there's anybody out there. Nobody listening right at, okay. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I really thank you for joining me tonight. The next session of Optimal Health, Optimal Life, next Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about optimal immune system. So it is definitely cold and flu season. People dropping like flies all around me, but I have some tips and tricks for keeping your immune system healthy. So let me know how it is going with keeping your motivation going to get more movement into your life. Think about what you can do to actually put more movement in instead of like this life of convenience now that we are leading. So everything's sort of automated and done for us. We don't have to really work so hard anymore. But if we don't work hard, our bodies don't know what to do. And then they start to not be so happy. So I wish you luck with your endeavors to get more movement into your life for fitness. Have a great week, and I will see you next Tuesday.